Hey, what is up everybody? It's ℂ𝕂𝔻𝔻 here for Anime Uproar, and just when we thought that one of the most emotional battles in MHA was over, Horikoshi throws us another bombshell, perhaps literally, but more on that later. The aftermath of Shoto vs Dabi has had a profound impact on the heroes and hero students. But the villains are not giving up, and All for One seems to be one step ahead yet again. Multiple heroes may be about to die in the very next chapter, so let's talk about it. You guys know how this works. If you enjoy our videos and you want to support us, just leave a quick like and comment. It only takes a second, but it really helps us with that YouTube algorithm. And of course, subscribing and hitting that notification bell is a completely free but very real way of directly supporting the channel. You can also hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at @AnimeUproar. Finally, this video will of course contain Boku no Hero manga spoilers, so please proceed with caution. You have been warned. We start things off in the aftermath of Shoto's epic battle against Dabi. And at first, it's confirmed that Dabi has in fact been defeated. Nevertheless, this victory comes at a very high cost for Shoto, who has suffered both physical and emotional damage. Kamino is also in ruins. Endeavor's sidekicks and the other heroes in the area have suffered serious injuries, but the fact that Dabi has been defeated and secured turns out to be a huge morale booster for the hero students and the heroes. Everyone is impressed that a UA hero student was able to defeat the overpowered wielder of the Blue Flames, the man who practically destroyed an entire section of a city. And so the other heroes decide to follow up on Shoto's work by giving it their all in order to crush the Nomu and the other villains. The news about Dabi's defeat made it back to the Hero Command Center, where ℂ𝕂𝔻𝔻 and All Might are monitoring the situation across all the various battlefields. All Might is clearly proud of Shoto's accomplishment, but he is also emotional because he knows how hard this must have been for Shoto. And we really do have to give a lot of respect to our boy Todoroki. Not only has he been able to surpass his limits and awaken his quirk in ways that we've never seen before, but he was also able to overcome so much childhood trauma in order to do what had to be done in regards to Dabi. Shoto has always been one of my favorite characters because of his compelling backstory and his powerful character development. And these last few chapters really allowed him some time to shine, and I love it. ℂ𝕂𝕻𝔻 then asks All Might to inform all the heroes across all the different battlefields about Shoto's victory. And that is when everyone else learns of this major development. Over at the ruins of Jakku Hospital, where a special facility for containing Gigantomachia has been erected, a bunch of the Class 1A and 1B students are ecstatic to hear that Shoto has won. The pro heroes like Mount Lady are also fired up when they hear this news, and the hero side is clearly gaining momentum against the villains on the back of Shoto's victory. And this really is an important thing to think about. In war, soldier morale is almost always a major factor, some would even say the major factor. And hearing about a big victory for your side really will fire soldiers up and inspire them to achieve things they never would have thought possible before they heard the news. Famous generals like Napoleon constantly reminded their soldiers of their past victories in order to inspire them to repeat those results in the future. And of course, if a battle was being waged on multiple fronts and your soldiers win on one front, you will immediately tell everyone about the victory in order to motivate soldiers on the other fronts to also gain victory. That said, some of the villains didn't quite get the message that the heroes are winning, and one villain in particular proclaims that the sacrifices of the heroes will be in vain. This is the villain who was responsible for the death of Mind𝔽, and he tells Mina and the other students that this is the time of liberation. And those who stand against liberation will be run down into the ground, just like Mind𝔽 was. Mina instantly looks at the villain as if to say that one more time, mother, but that's when our boy Kirishima shows up. Kirishima says that everyone has been evacuated from the area, which means that the heroes can now go all out against the villains. A fierce-looking Kirishima says that Todoroki just showed them how manly he was, and now it's time for them to do their part. Mina was clearly upset when the villain mentioned Mind𝔽, but Kirishima showed up and got her back on track. We gotta remember that when they were kids, Mina was the one whom Kirishima looked to for inspiration and leadership, and he himself lacked confidence. but this time he was the one who kept her from losing her cool and helped her stay focused on the mission. I honestly love these two. I love their history and their relationship, and I am a big Mind𝔽 shipper. We also get to see that up in the flying UA, Bakugo is not even surprised to hear that Shoto won, and I'm sure that Bakugo will be looking to one-up Shoto at some point during the war, cause that's just how Bakugo is. Meanwhile, Fat Gum and Aoyama are confronted by a villain who can control plants, I guess. This guy is a Tartarus SKP by the name of ℂ𝕂𝔼𝕻, and he says that he is All For One's latest assassin, having replaced Dictator. He tells Aoyama that no one has dared to lie to All For One and lived to tell the tale, implying that Aoyama is about to die. Aoyama responds by saying thank you in French for some reason, and then the focus switches to Spinner. It appears that Spinner was given extra quirks by All For One, including at least one that allowed him to increase his size until he's basically a giant. Spinner refuses to believe the news that Dabi has lost, and he thinks that it's all just hero propaganda. Spinner is now leading a group of villains with mutant-type quirks, and his mission appears to be to retrieve Kurogiri. Spinner also seems way more angry than usual, which makes me wonder whether the new quirk or quirks that All For One gave him are also affecting him mentally on top of changing him physically, but that's something we'll likely find out later. Spinner commands the other villains to tear down everything that oppressed them for so long and to destroy the status quo. Meanwhile, Shoji, who also has a mutant-type quirk, draws inspiration from Todoroki to continue standing his ground against Spinner and his lackeys. It looks like we're about to see an important fight between Shoji and Spinner, two characters with mutant-type quirks who both faced discrimination, but who ended up choosing completely opposite paths in life, so this is gonna be interesting. Back in Kamino, Shoto is injured, but he is conscious and he seems to be doing well. Meanwhile, one of the other heroes is wondering how Dabi is even still alive, and that is when we see it. A circle of light suddenly begins to shine in the middle of Dabi's chest, but before we can see what happens next, we are transported to the Gunga Mountain Resort where Endeavor and Hawks are confronting All For One. I will get back to the Dabi thing very soon, but I just want to cover what happens with All For One first. All For One is trying to unravel Endeavor by mocking him for sending one of his sons to fight the other instead of standing up against Dabi himself. All For One proclaims that this refusal to take personal responsibility for his own actions is the reason why Endeavor cannot win. And the chapter ends as All For One begins activating a strange quirk combo. He holds out his hand and a different quirk seems to emerge from each of his fingers. One finger has a flame around it, another has drills, a third has curved blades, a fourth has black sludge, and a fifth has like a tiny human face coming out of it, because I guess All For One found a Philosopher's Stone from Full Metal Alchemist or something. And that is how the chapter ends, with All For One trying to rattle Endeavor mentally before taking him on in battle. And with the text on the final page declaring that despite the hero's plan, All For One remains as calm as ever. Wow, this sure was creepy, and All For One really is a villain that you cannot underestimate. I mean, yes, he got tricked by Aoyama and the heroes, but he doesn't seem concerned at all, and he's always ready with some sort of backup plan no matter what the heroes throw his way. It's going to be very interesting to see just what insane quirk combo All For One is about to unleash upon the top two pro heroes. Okay, now back to the Dabi glowing chest thing. To me, this indicates that All For One jammed a second quirk into Dabi, likely against Dabi's will, because I do believe that Dabi wanted to beat both Shoto and Endeavor using his own quirk alone. The big question is, what is this second quirk? Is it something that would allow Dabi to recover and keep fighting, or is it the same type of self-destruction quirk that All For One had used on Lady Nagant back in chapter 315? When Lady Nagant explodes in that chapter, we don't actually see her chest, so we don't know if there was a similar effect going on. We just see that the rest of her body begins to like glow and crack right before she explodes. It is possible that this glow in Dabi's chest is the beginning of the self-destruct quirk activating. And if that is the case, then considering the shape that Dabi is in right now, I can't picture him surviving this. Dabi is in way worse shape right now than Lady Nagant was before the explosion. So if he really explodes right now, he will likely die, although he will probably take some heroes down with him. I don't think that Shoto will die after everything he's just been through, but a notable hero like Burnin might, even though I obviously do not want another waifu to be harmed.
you come to 9211 Ocean View Drive. That's my home address, and I will knife fight you.
Horikoshi, my man, Ida is right there. Like, no offense, Ida, but if I have to choose between you and Burnin, I'm choosing Burnin. What do you guys think? Is the light on Dabi's chest a sign that a second quirk is activating within him, or is it something that is part of his own quirk, like maybe his own quirk is awakening? If this is a second quirk, what do you think it is, and could it be self-destruction? Definitely share your thoughts down below because I need to see some great theories about this being discussed in the comments. Since Dabi was already a ticking time bomb due to his obsession with Endeavor and Shoto, I wouldn't be surprised if All For One secretly infused him with self-destruction, but we'll have to wait and see. I am extremely excited to see what happens next, and what kind of situation Deku will walk into once he finally makes it back to shore. For all we know, a bunch of heroes could be dead by the time Deku arrives. And that would absolutely destroy him emotionally, but it would also motivate him to absolutely crush the villains. If you guys enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Just leave a quick like and comment. It only takes a second, but it really helps me out. And remember that subscribing and hitting that notification bell is a very real way of directly supporting the channel. And of course, it's completely free. You can also hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at ℂ𝕂𝔼𝔻. I want to give a big thank you to all of our ℂ𝕂𝔼 patrons for making videos like this one possible. Special thank you to Kyle Salisbury. This man is an absolute mad lad and a disciple of Lord Twigo himself. And I can't forget all of our The One tier patrons, the ones who rise above all other clans, including Alpha Sigma, Pate Hefa, the Red-Haired Fox, Hinokami and Water, the Toasted Chi, Corey McGowan, the Fallen Chosen, Orihime Wukong, Dante Tennell, and Baked Buddhist. Finally, thank you also to our Pro Hero tier patrons, including the one and only Gilgamesh, Angel Cruz, Alicia Octor, Bunny Parks, Fatboy Games, Kaido Might Be a Duck, Ali Vania, and Anime S Code M. If you guys enjoy our videos and you feel that they provide value to you, consider supporting us on Patreon. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys!